Hey everyone, and welcome. Well, Labour showed their true colours by sending a letter signed by 31 Labour MPs associated with Corbyn. So is Corbyn of army of tolerance? The hard left. We know the ones. In the letter, they accuse Priti of gaslighting. So in this video, we are going to look at Priti's very tough response in the Mail.
And I do believe that we have rotten politics, and I'm not using that as an exaggeration.
It's titled, "The Labour MPs who want to silence me are the racists," says Priti Patel. Home Secretary reveals the racist abuse she suffered at school, argues the real bigots are on the left and calls for Churchill to be freed. Yes, Priti, I agree on the Churchill. Looks like Labour have kicked the wrong lady. She's took it like a Brit, on the chin, and has come back fighting. Good. Grow some minerals, Boris. Take control. Stop letting the mob rule, or I fear the people will. Now is the time for strong leadership, Boris. But anyway, let's read. Home Secretary Priti Patel is incandescent. They are trying to silence me because I don't conform to their version of what it is to be an ethnic minority, she sees. They think they have a license to speak for everybody from an ethnic minority community. That is not the case. It's simply not the case. We're all different. We're all individuals. What they are saying is racist in itself, and I don't think we should lose sight of that. They are the 31 MPs, left of the Labour Party, more associated with Jeremy Corbyn, says Priti, who have sent a vile letter accusing her of gaslighting others from minority communities after she spoke about her own experience of racism earlier this week. For this vocal supporter of the late Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher, it was her "the lady is not for turning" moment. Priti's words, spoken clearly and calmly at the dispatch box, were devastating in their emotional impact. It must have been a very different Home Secretary who, as a child, was frequently called the P word in the playground, she fired back. A very different Home Secretary who was racially abused in the streets or even advised to drop a surname and use her husband's in order to advance her career. A different Home Secretary recently characterised in the Guardian newspaper as a fat cow with a ring through its nose, something that was not only racist but offensive both culturally and religiously. And I agreed with her on the entirety of that, to be honest. There is racism in the country. No one is saying that there isn't. Institutional racism, I completely object to. There's rules and laws in place to stop that. But that's in my opinion. I would, if someone knows any better than that and can prove me wrong, I would love to hear from you. Priti, 48, carries her Asian ethnicity with pride, not as a weapon. People who know me know that I am a freedom fighter, she says. My father always told me, hold your head up high and go forwards. We live in a great country where we have the freedom to succeed. That's good to hear, I like that. Here I am, the most senior woman in the British government as Home Secretary, not because of privilege, but through sheer hard work, as my parents taught me, and because I had the freedom to succeed. Hear, hear, Priti. It is why Priti has agreed to this exclusive interview. We meet in the Home Office where, in the lift, there is a poster of Sir Robert Peel, who served twice as Prime Minister and is regarded as the father of modern British policing. His is one of the statues that some Black Lives Matter activists want to topple. Can I just say at this point, Sir Robert Peel was the reason that the police are not armed in this country. That's right. He's also the reason for policing by consent. He completely changed and reformed the police service to make it not a jackboot service, but something that serves and protects. Something to be applauded, in my opinion. Add to this the fact that London Mayor Sadiq Khan has, in order to protect them, ordered the boarding up of Sir Winston Churchill's statue, which is a disgrace, and the cenotaph, which is even worse, a memorial to those, let's do the mob of the job and hide it from public view, just to be safe, you know. He actually went on and said that it was because of the far right, this idiot. It's not the far right ripping down statues, is it, Sadiq? A memorial to those who have given their lives for this country, and let's just say there's a lot of hand slamming on the desk during the time we spend together. We should free Churchill, she says. He is the defender of our democracy and freedom. We have seen the desecration of war memorials in some violent outbreaks involving a minority of protesters during last weekend's Black Lives Matter marches, which is thoroughly unacceptable. Now we're seeing a national hero being boarded up, and it's disgusting, isn't it? Thankfully, these veterans and football lads protected him today. Thank you, lads. Patriots, one and all. I think this is a sad reflection on the Mayor of London, because had he stood up for the right thing, had he called out the minority who were subversive in a peaceful protest, had he pulled up the thuggery in the right way, we would not be seeing the boarding up of our national hero. We probably wouldn't have seen that shit show of today either. She slams her hand on the desk. For emphasis. One of Dad's sayings as I was growing up was, we have freedom because we live in an open democratic society. Then we hear the Labour Party being divisive, being hateful, trying to erase the past, which is what I think they are trying to do. It incenses me. It does with most of the British people in the country, the people that are actually happy at living in a country so free, Priti. You're not alone on that one. There's millions of us. I haven't spoken to my dad this week because it's been quite busy, but I know he would think that Churchill is a hero of our country. He fought against fascism and racism in Britain and Europe and has given us the freedom to live our lives the way we do today. What of the other statues that some Black Lives Matter activists are threatening to topple? The men who made their fortunes from slave trade, for example. We cannot pretend everything that has happened in the past is right, but that doesn't mean we can erase it. Exactly right. We have to learn from our past and at the same time look forwards. I actually think it's more we need to see how far this country has come. I think the statues are necessary for our education and our children's educations for the future. We need our children to understand our past so they are prepared for the future. I can see some of the Labour MPs who signed that letter to me have failed to understand that. They seem to think that everyone should be trapped in their version of history or hold their views. That is not acceptable. In this most unsettling of weeks, Priti Patel is, according to many political pundits, one of the few members of the cabinet who have stepped up to the plate and shows balls. I wouldn't call it balls, that's a bit naughty. I mean, isn't that misogynistic? I would actually say shown a few minerals. She's got stones. Oh, that's the same thing, isn't it? She's a tough lady. How's that? As the nation's history is being literally vandalised in front of our eyes. She's charming but steely, just as her political hero, Lady Thatcher, was. And she is adamant that those who have committed these acts of vandalism and violence will be held to account. Good. Mob rule is not how it should be done in this country. It should be slammed at every opportunity, in my opinion. It's not good to run a country based on what the mob wants. Very, very quickly turns into chaos. Before our interview, she had been in a meeting for more than an hour with police leaders from around the country, hopefully handing their asses to them. Your readers have seen the appalling and sickening scenes of police officers being assaulted and abused day in and day out, as we've seen peaceful protests subverted by thugs with alternative motivations. There's a lot of work taking place, gathering of evidence before we charge people, she says. We are still living with a COVID pandemic, so it's absolutely right to urge people not to go out and protest. Here we are, sitting socially distanced, she says, gesturing to the three of us seated 2 metres apart. There is a severe public health crisis in this country, so I urge people not to attend the protest this weekend and stay at home, particularly for the community that is most affected by the lurgy. The black community, she nods. We are not like America, absolutely not. Our policing is not like America. We police by consent in this country. The police have operational independence. We are nothing like America. The fact you are sitting here speaking to me, a woman from an Asian minority background, shows we have such great opportunities in this country. We really do. It pains me to hear people talk our country down. If this was a racist country, I would not be sitting where I am. We are a great, great country, and we are a world away from where we were 20, 30 or 40 years ago. 40 odd years ago, Priti was that 6-year-old child enduring the dreadful taunts of the P word in the school playground. Obviously, we're talking a long time ago, but I can still remember the level of hurt and fear. Were there tears? What a question. Were there tears? She just said she was 6, you moron. She nods, obviously. Yes, I hated it, she says. Right, well, I don't want to go into too much of that. This is more about her being attacked for not having the same opinion as the rest and being told that she's gaslighting for it, which is an absolute disgrace in my opinion. Priti's parents, Sunshil and Anjana, sorry Priti if I get that, I probably slaughtered them, I do apologise, emigrated to Britain in the late 1960s so her father could study for a degree in mechanical engineering. Good man. But their plans were turned upside down when despot President Idi Amin expelled Uganda's Asian minority in the early 70s. And this racist country that everyone's calling a racist country, let them in. No problems. Suddenly Priti's father was forced to give up his education to earn a living and support his parents, brother and sister who fled to England. If you think what the British government did for Ugandan Asians, it's phenomenal. Which is why, in particular, sitting here, I feel so strongly about our moral commitment and responsibility to the people of Hong Kong. She says, the Prime Minister, the Foreign Secretary and I are committed to creating a bespoke way for them to come here. More than 2 million of them, she nods. I was actually speaking to a young lad yesterday from Hong Kong that was in the protests. And he's said he's too young. He missed out on the BNO, which is the British National Overseas that we gave the Hong Kong people, which is why it's not the full 7.5 million that have been offered to come over here. It's only 2 to 3.5 million. I say only, it's not only, is it? You got to remember, these are very industrious people, extremely hardworking, extremely polite and extremely friendly. Would not be a problem, in my opinion, to bring them in. And if you've had a look at the demonstrations and the police reactions in Hong Kong, wow. Yeah, just wow. How about, Priti, if we're going to be bringing in 2 million, we need to find 2 million of the illegal immigrants that are here that are snuck in on the boats, don't we? And every other avenues of in. Just a thought. It speaks again for the values of our country and the open, tolerant country we are. Look, she nods towards 2 maps of the British Isles on the wall of her office. One is from 2017 and one from 2019. We won a general election because we focused on levelling up across the country. We want to deliver that and give opportunity to all. Now, I don't want to go too much deeply into her back history. We know that she's had not an easy run to get where she's got now, and she's got it purely based on merit. So I applaud Priti, and I also applaud Priti's family as well. For one, for getting away from Idi Amin, and for 2, for coming to the country and becoming a good part of it, and to be happy to be here. Quite refreshing, isn't it? Now, what's my opinions on this? We all know that Labour are intolerant. They are the most intolerant of everyone, while they scream intolerance at everybody else. Now, we've all known this for a while, but it is quite refreshing to hear someone on the extremely left-wingy Tories, or they seem to be, actually saying the same thing. So maybe that letter has backfired gloriously in Labour's faces, because now Priti has every reason to highlight all of their indiscretions. Does she not? They've attacked her first. She's well within her rights to defend herself. So, good on Priti. I'm really impressed with the way that she's been strong. Iron lady, shall I say. So, I applaud you, Priti. Well done for that. Hope you keep it up. Hope you keep up the fact that anyone that's attacking our heritage will be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. We will be waiting for that, Priti. That is a decider. In regards to boarding up Churchill, everybody knows my opinion on that. I think it's an absolute disgrace. What we should have done is had exactly the same as what the Australians did with theirs. A line of police in front of it with weapons to stop them. You should not be hiding our heritage to appease a mob that want to destroy our heritage. It defeats the purpose. But anyway, let me know what you think, everyone. I'd like to know your opinion on this. If you're new, don't forget to hit the like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell icon. Share it out, everyone, and I'll see you on the next one. Stay safe.